Hi, welcome to the Park Moms podcast. We're your hosts, Haley
and Becca.
This is the place where we laugh and chat about the chaotic bliss of raising young kids.
So whether you're about to take a hot mom walk or start a load of laundry, let's get to yapping.
Let's get to it.
Do.
Okay, so how are you doing? How was your weekend?
It was really good. As you know, Sam was out of town.
Well, I hope it was good because you spent Friday and Saturday night at my house. So it better be good.
That's the best part about having like a close friend that lives by you. Like someone was asking me, like, where were you hot tubbing? And I'm like, oh, just my friends. Like it's nice that like our kids, we can just like come to each other's house and just like, I just basically came and dumped my kids in her house. She provided dinner and I was like,
no, but it was nice to like, we didn't have to plan anything. I didn't plan anything. Like I was like, we're ordering Domino's the night before. We just like made grilled cheeses. It's nice to have friends that you don't feel like you have to actually plan something. You could just be like, hey, come over.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to have those friends.
And I feel like that's like the fun part of like Park Moms too. It's just like having those friends where you can just like be in the thick of motherhood and just like, I need to come over. I need to reset.
Yes.
Let's just let our kids play. And then it was actually really fun too. My mom did this like really, really cute girls' day, and it was all around like New Year's and like our like goals and resolutions for the year.
Yeah.
And it was so cute. This year's theme was Life's a Bunch of Cherries. I guess it's like a really famous old song. It's by like Judy Garland or something. Anyways, and it was so cute. Oldie, yeah. It was all cherry themed, like cherry drink. Like I'll have to show some pictures because the decor was so cute, and it's really sweet. Every year she like kind of goes around and tells like all the women. We have 10 women in this family now because of like step family, and just like how much she loves them and how proud of she is of them for every year.
That's
and then
so cute.
It is so cute. And then like we kind of write our things we did last year and what we accomplished, and she tells us to look through. So this is actually a good idea. If you don't feel like you did anything last year, go look through all your photos on your iPhone and see everything you did do.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of what she focuses on, is like, don't feel like you didn't do enough last year. Like look at everything you accomplished last year. And so she has us go through our accomplishments and then like put like any thoughts or ideas we want to do for the upcoming year. But just such a cute idea. And I also feel like it's just nice to reflect on like how much you do because sometimes it feels like you're never doing enough.
Cute. I love that.
Yeah. Okay, I actually have like a good question for you right off the bat.
I love this.
Okay, so Haley just went to the gas station right before she came here, and here's my question. I feel like it tells a lot about a person. What is like your go-to gas station drink, snack, and treat?
Oh, okay. Well, I think it depends on the gas station for me.
Oh, really?
Specifically, the gas station I just went to, it's a caffeine-free Diet Coke, which I have right here. Sour Gushers, and then if I want something salty, I'm going with just like a classic pretzel.
Ooh,
like what's the main brand of pretzels? Starts
like
with an
the
R.
thin ones. Oh yeah, I don't know what brand that is though.
We'll tag them.
Yeah, they'll sponsor us.
But if I'm going to just like a normal gas station, probably a Diet Coke, some sort of Tootsie Roll, and then something, and a pretzel. You have to have your salty, sweet, and your carbonated.
Agreed. Okay.
What's yours?
Well, it's funny. It used to be, this is the most random combo. It used to be orange sunflower chips, like the cheddar, and chocolate milk. Like that was my combo. Yes.
When you say used to be, do you mean like last month, last year?
If you ask my husband, he'll say like he remembers it vividly. Like it was through like my college days. I can't really drink chocolate milk anymore, mostly because like at the middle of the night, like drinking a full chocolate milk, that sounds crazy. But
you did it.
Now, yeah, that was my go-to.
That was your college snack.
Yeah, my college. And I would say now I do like Dr. Pepper. I like vitamin waters or like a drink like that.
So healthy. I know tonight I went to the gas station before and you got a body armor. Yeah. It's like, okay, healthy and girl.
Healthy. I know.
Health queen.
I'm not the biggest soda drinker anymore. I also like I like the kettle chips a lot.
Oh, those are good.
They're like a salty.
The jalapeno ones. Do you like those?
Yes, and I love just the plain salt, like the ridged ones though, not like the potato chip. Like
yeah. Do you want to know the snack in college that made me gain 20 pounds?
Ooh, give me a hint. I'll try to guess.
It was from the vending machines. Did you live in the dorms?
Snickers?
You're so close.
Twix?
You were closer with Snickers. It's a specific type of Snickers.
Frozen Snickers?
The Snickers ice cream bars. 2 a.m. My MO was Snickers ice cream bar and a Sprite, and then I came home from college and my parents said, what the hell happened? I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you get nervous recording the podcast? Because we're on our 8th episode.
I would not say I get nervous. I love to talk. Like it's something that I really enjoy doing. I think I critique myself a little bit though of like, hey, can you not say like, or are you talking over each other, or like, is this content even like interesting?
I wouldn't say I get nervous. I think I get anxious because it's like, it's almost like pregame jitters.
Yes.
Like I feel like I'm like excited, but also like a little bit nervous, but also you want to do a good job. Obviously, we want listeners because we're trying to grow.
We are trying to grow. But I do think it is natural, and I think because we are such good friends, we have like a natural, like every time we're talking and we're not podcasting, I'm like, oh, that just would be good podcast content. Like a lot of these conversations are truly just like the combos we would have at the park. So hopefully you can feel like you can join us in those conversations. Okay, so today, and this was actually my idea because I remember when I was pregnant with my last baby, he's almost 6 months now. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
It's going so fast. I was like thinking like, oh my gosh, like how is this next transition going to be? Like going from having 2 kids to 3 kids. And every time like you bring a new baby into the world, like I do feel like there's a big transition period. So whether it's like having no kids, starting with 1, you know, going 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 and beyond.
3 and beyond, because after you have 3, it's all just a shit show.
I've heard that like it just gets easy after 3.
No, that's what people say after. Well, we can get into this. Go on.
We'll get into this. So anyways, wanting to understand like I guess things that help people and just like hear people's experiences as well, just because I think we're all kind of in the thick of it. But it is funny, like you brought up a good point of like what people said it was the hardest. We did a little poll on our Instagram, and 53% of people said that 0 to 1 was the hardest. 25,
really?
Yeah, 53%. And then 1 to 2, 25%, and then 2 to 3, 22%. And no one said 3 plus was the hardest.
So it went down every time.
Yeah.
Wait, so that's amazing.
53, 25, 22. We may not have very many people that have 3 plus, so that could be why.
Yeah. Who has 3? I'm just kidding. I have a few friends that have 4 plus kids or 4 over 3 kids, and I always tease them like, so like, when are you going to stop?
I think they just keep going.
They just keep going. But my mom did say 3 to 4. It's like once you have 3, your life's already so chaotic, you might as well keep going.
Do you have 4 kids in your family?
I thought you meant how many kids do I have? I'm like, no, you know I have 3 children. Yes, there's 4 of us. How many? We
have 5 in ours.
5.
And then lots of step siblings, so we have big families.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get into it. What was your hardest transition thus far?
I would say I'm in the bucket of the 53% of the 0 to 1.
Really?
Yes. So let's talk about actually 0 to 1, like for both of us. I'll start. I think for me, the reason why it was so difficult is because it is such a big life transition. Like, I think the joy is incredible, so you get to like experience that for the first time. But like you're used to like going out and not having to worry about getting a babysitter. We actually had one night where my husband was like leaving to go somewhere, and I was already planning on leaving, and he's like getting up to leave. I'm like, I'm leaving tonight. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot someone has to watch the baby. And so it was just like an adjustment because we like had never done it before, and we always look back before having kids and like, what did we do with all of our free time? And I think the other thing that was difficult about it is we were like anxious, like just really wanting to stick to a strict schedule, doing like the sleep training. Like we were very like stringent, reading.
Is that a word? Stringent?
Yeah, stringent, strict. Like reading all the parenting books and trying to like truly be like the ideal parent for our child. So anyways, that was definitely the hardest. I think like some things that made it easier. I was like thinking of some tips that like made it easier transition. And I think the number one thing is, we talked about this last week on the podcast about like letting your husbands get involved with the kids.
Yes.
That would be my number one advice for anyone else who's like having their first child, is just let them be a part of their lives. Like, because if your baby's crying and you're taking them every single time and helping them, then they don't really figure out how to like nurture them. Yeah.
And it's really easy to just want to do it yourselves, like we talked about. But that's good advice. Just both be involved and both learn how to do it and help each other through it in a non-judgmental way.
Yes.
I remember our daughter, when she was probably our first daughter, so we only had one. I was actually already pregnant with my second. No, she was probably like 9 or 10 months though, because I was pregnant with my second. And she fell off a bed, and it was completely my husband's fault. Like, he put her on the edge of the bed. There was like a wood flooring, and she like fell, and she was totally fine. But I was like, it's okay. Like, he was beside himself. He was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Like, he felt so bad. And I was just like, it's okay. Like, accidents happen. She's totally fine. And I remember later he was like, thank you for like not judging me in that moment and just being okay. Like, that I made a mistake. And And in that moment, I was like, wow, that's actually such a good thing is when you're both learning to be parents, rooting each other on, because it's so easy to be like, how did you let her fall off the bed? Or like, how did you forget to do this? Or you did this wrong. And then it just makes the partner not want to help.
I completely agree. And I think that guilt too, like you're already so hard on yourself as a parent. And like both my husband and I have had an experience like when we were like bathing our child and then we got the water like too hot and the baby starts screaming.
Yeah.
And it's like you feel so bad in that moment. Like, so you would never want to do anything to like harm or hurt your child. And so it is just like scary. Like you can make mistakes, but I think just having that like grace for each other.
Yeah.
And hoping that people have that same grace.
Because in that situation, you already feel terrible, and if your partner makes you feel worse, it's not a good combo.
So like cheering each other on in that moment. I will also say is 0 to 1 was the hardest, but it also was the most fulfilling because I had no idea how joyful it was going to be to have a kid. I know people say motherhood is like thankless. I feel so like I completely disagree. I think it's super fulfilling, and I think like it is such an enjoyable process to be able to see your kid grow and learn.
Yeah. There's moments that are thankless.
Yes, for sure.
I don't think as a whole it's thankless, but like yesterday when I spent an hour making my kids dinner and they didn't eat any of it, that was thankless. That was for literally thankless. Okay, I'm surprised that 0 to 1 was your hardest because I would say 0 to 1 was actually...
Yeah, tell me about 0 to 1 for you.
0 to 1 for me wasn't that bad. And I think the reason it wasn't that bad is because we had our first during COVID, which like not to bring up the C word, but we had it during COVID and the world felt like it kind of stopped at the same time that our world like kind of shifted, if that makes sense. So it's like we were both working and then all of a sudden we were both working from home and we had a baby and we had so much time with her, which was so nice because we were both working from home. And so like we kind of slowed down at a time that we did need to slow down. And so I feel like we really appreciated it. It wasn't all like rainbows and butterflies. It's definitely hard. I think maybe 0 to 1 is the hardest because you've never done it before. I know that seems like such an obvious statement, but just learning everything while you're also taking care of a baby. And people can tell you, people can say like, they can give you all the advice.
Yeah.
And you hear about the sleepless nights, you hear about the hormones, you hear about the temper tantrums or the frustration. You really can't explain it to someone until you feel it. Like my mom came and helped us for I think a full week after I had my first, and she like stayed in our little townhome with us. And I remember just being like, oh my gosh, like you really love me so much. Yeah. Like you love me. Now you get it.
You get it.
It's like everything just kind of like, oh, that makes sense.
I completely agree. It's also surprising how much you need the help, huh?
Oh my gosh.
I was like thinking before I had my first, like, oh, we got this. We don't need anyone coming to stay and helping us.
No.
Like,
I cried when my mom left.
Yeah, it's like it's just like you really do like are adjusting to everything, and so like be willing to let other people help you.
Yes,
say
for
yes
sure.
to that.
Okay, but 0 to 1, do you have any other tips that you would say besides letting people help, letting your spouse help, not being hard on yourself?
I don't think you can ever like get rid of the anxiety with your first baby.
Yeah.
Like I think it's very difficult to do.
Yes.
But I think just knowing in your mind, like, okay, I'm doing a good job. I'm not going to be perfect. Like, I don't have to follow every single gentle parenting model and like whatever you're seeing on Instagram that's like people seem like they're the perfect parents. Just do your best. You follow your mother's intuition. That's going to be stronger than like all the advice you can see and find everywhere else.
For sure. It's been interesting because I just had my third when my little sister had her first. And so she's having her first child while I'm having my third. And just the difference in what you care about, like she'll care about things. And she is honestly such an amazing mom. It's come really naturally to her. But she'll care about things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I do not care about that. But then I look back to how I was with my first and I'm like, I definitely cared about that.
Oh, yeah.
For example, my first was always in the cutest outfits with the cute bows and the cute shoes. And her hair was always done and she was looking cute. And I look at my sister who does the same thing for her daughter. Like she's always dressed to the nines, looking so cute. And in my mind, I'm like, how do you have the time to care about that? But I'm like, wait, I cared about that too. But now that I have 3, I'm like, you know, I'm lucky if they have shoes on. I'm lucky. Pajamas. Oh, I went to the gym this morning with my kids in their pajamas. They had like cereal all over them. I was like, do you know what? We're here.
Yep.
So you just kind of, I don't know, like if you look at someone with the first child and you have more and you're like, oh, why do they care so much? Just remember you probably did too.
Exactly. Do you have any advice for 0 to 1?
0 to 1, I would just say, yes, let people help and try to enjoy it as much as you can. Like it really, it can be hard to enjoy it with the sleepless nights. Take lots of pictures. That's something I'm so grateful that I did because it is such a blur and it goes by, everyone will tell you. Literally old lady told me at the grocery store today, it goes by so fast.
Yep.
Truly, when you are in the newborn phase, take so many pictures because you'll look at the picture 6 months later and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that seems like a blur because you are so sleep deprived. So I'll just say, like, take lots of pictures because it's fun to remember those moments.
I completely agree. And I think along with that, they always say, like, sleep when your baby sleeps. I think that's a little tricky to do. But I will say, like, be okay with just, like, slower paced life.
Yeah.
Because I do think that is the biggest transition from 0 to 1 is your life does, like, require you to slow down a lot and just be really present. And, like, again, you don't get that time back. And so just be okay with it. Like, read a book while you're nursing or bottle feeding and just, like, take every day and just be okay with it being slower versus, like, the fast-paced life of not having a child.
Actually, I do have advice. It's so easy when you have your first to become roommates with your partner.
True.
Because you're really just in this, like, I know, monotonous feeding the baby, changing the baby, cleaning up. You're tired. It's so easy to become roommates. And it's also, we've talked about this before, but it's hard to leave your baby for the first time. But figure out ways to still connect and date each other.
Yes.
When the baby is sleeping. Yeah. Because you really, like, that is only going to help you become better parents is if you guys focus on your relationship. And I know it's really easy to, like, kind of get into a rut when you become parents for the first time because you're kind of like little teammates.
Yes.
You're teammates before, but it's a totally different dynamic when you're both working to take care of this little baby.
Exactly.
So what was the stat for 2 to 3? Was it 25%?
Yeah, 25%.
Okay, 2 to 3 was 100% the hardest for me. Like, infinitely harder. And I do think, and I was going to say this, I don't know if it's always a transition or where you are just, like, in your life, different transitions in your life.
Yeah.
So my experience, 1 to 2 was so hard because I got pregnant when I was 9 months postpartum. So my daughter was 9 months old with my second daughter. Complete surprise, nursing on the birth control pill. No one told me that the birth control pill, the nursing pill, isn't as effective as a normal pill.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that. So the last day that I stopped nursing was actually the day I got pregnant. So I, like, nursed her one last time. And that day I got pregnant with my second. Anyways, so during this time I had a 9-month-old.
Yeah.
No, an 18-month-old and a newborn. We had just bought a new house that we were renovating. My husband was in the most stressful time of his job.
Yeah.
I had started a new part-time job, could not find a nanny for the life of me. Was living in a house that was halfway renovated, kind of, like, it was in a new area, which luckily was in the same neighborhood as Becca, just, like, lots of life changes at once. And my second baby, my first baby, she was the first. She wanted attention. But also my second baby had a hard time eating. So that was stressful. She lost weight very quickly. She went from, I think, like, the 70th percentile to, like, the 7th percentile. And so that was really scary. And looking back on it now, I know I for sure had postpartum depression and anxiety, and it's really just such a blur. But I don't know if it was necessarily the 1 to 2 that was so hard. I think it was more just the transitions that were happening in my life and also how close they were in age. I felt like I had a little baby and a big baby. I saw a video of me the other day where I was nursing my newborn and then my 18-month-old is, like, pulling my hair and they're both crying and I'm crying. No. And I'm just like, there were so many beautiful fun moments. Obviously it was so great. I was so, like, lucky to have 2 little girls. But it was really hard. And I feel like that video just kind of shows me, like, I was in the thick of it.
Yeah. Would you have any advice if, like, looking back at that time, like, is there anything that helped you or that
I wish I would have helped, or I wish I would have asked for help more. And eventually, like, long story short, I did. And my husband got a different job where he was able to work from home and our life looks completely different now. And I'm really grateful for it. But I think I just should have asked for help more. I think I'm, like, naturally I use humor to kind of cope with things. So I think that people didn't take me as seriously because I was, like, joking. I was kind of, like, self-deprecating, joking about how I was depressed or not doing well when I really actually wasn't doing well. And so I think everyone was kind of like, oh, like, and even just, like, everyone was so awesome and great. I'm not saying, but I just should have been more direct with, like, hey, I need help. Yeah. Like, I am struggling. Yeah. And it finally came to, like, a point where I really wasn't doing okay, and my husband had to be like, okay, let's get you some help. And I got some help and did some things, but I think I just wish I would have been more serious about my struggle and, like, not so humorous about it. Yeah. If that makes sense. Yeah. But 1 to 2 is hard, especially if you are the stay-at-home parent because you're outnumbered. Yeah. For the first time. and especially when you have 2 little babies. But
exactly, that
what
were
was your
both young.
experience from 1 to 2 like?
And I will say, like, back to your experience, it's funny because I remember you during that time, but it's
Yeah.
like it almost seems like years ago that happened, and it probably just seems like a fog to you too. It's like, oh, like,
yeah.
did that actually even happen?
Yeah.
And like, just a like reminder, if you're like in the thick of the day to day right now, like, it does pass. There is light at the end of the tunnel. It doesn't make it easier today. Like, I know that today is going to be difficult if like your baby's up crying in the night or they're not eating, or you're worried about certain things with them. However, you do eventually look back and like, okay, I got through that.
I got through it.
And it does kind of seem like a blur, but in the moment, I will definitely validate that it's really hard.
It's really hard, and I think that's why my biggest advice is just ask for help and don't wait until you're like very much not doing well.
Yeah. For me, 1 to 2, I had a really difficult pregnancy. And so I think like having a newborn actually felt easier to me than having my pregnancy, because I had a very active toddler through pregnancy, as well as I was extremely sick, like throwing up every day, sick the whole entire pregnancy, back to back like sicknesses on top of being pregnant. My son was born in February, and I was sick like all of December and all of January, in addition to like being super pregnant.
Yeah.
And
having a toddler.
And so by the time he was born, I actually felt so much better mentally than I did like being pregnant, because I was so sick being pregnant.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that transition was a lot easier for me, because I finally started feeling like myself again, and I felt like, oh, I can actually handle 2, because being pregnant was so stinking hard that like 2 feels way easier than being pregnant with a toddler. So validating that as well, like being pregnant at all and then being pregnant with other kids is also super difficult. But I think the biggest advice I would say, obviously whatever your kid has capacity for, but like involving them with the baby as much as you can.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, have them grab a diaper or let them help with the bottle or something like that, because I think like the more you can include them, they feel like very accomplished by doing those things, and it's like easier on you. It does take some time to involve your older kids, but they can become like really good helpers.
Yeah, no, I love that. I feel
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you implement like the 15-minute like magic minutes? Have you heard about this?
No, you've told me about it, but talk about it a little bit, because I think it's really interesting.
This is another, I would say, tip as you get multiples, is you just need to spend like 15 minutes with your child every single day, alone, and like focus on them. Uninterrupted, like, and you can call it like mommy and me time. And like, I don't know if I did exactly 15 minutes, but I did try every day to like give my toddler alone time where I really focused on them. And I do feel like that's a tip that I've heard, and it really does help.
I feel like I need to do that now actually with 3, because it's so easy to just do activities together, or like do an activity with my older girls and be like, okay, I'm going to do something with the girls, then I'll do something with my son. But I think that one-on-one time is so special.
It is. And you kind of get to see their full personality flourish, because like if you're always all together, like they change when they're alone.
Well, and they're competing for your attention.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. I think I'm going to start implementing that.
15 minutes.
15 magic minutes. I have no tips, because I was truly just surviving. I almost wish that I could I don't want to be a downer, but I almost wish I could relive the first 7 months of my second daughter's life and just go back and kind of enjoy it a little more. But the reality is that sometimes you have postpartum, or sometimes you just have to get through it and try to enjoy it. Luckily, I took a lot of pictures, and so I look back at the time when I had a big baby and a little baby, and they were so cute. And seeing their bond back in pictures, because I honestly don't remember it, but seeing them build a bond at such a young age is so special. And now that they're older, it's so fun to see that bond, and they always want to be together, and they're truly best friends. And so I'm glad that they're close.
Yeah.
But those first 7 months.
You were just in survival mode. And
survival.
I know that you're like, oh, I wish I could have changed it, but it's okay. Like, and I think like your kids get a lot of growth from those situations too.
Yeah.
And someone told me once, they're like, the best thing you can give your kid is a sibling. So don't feel guilty. Like, if you're not 100% there when you're pregnant, or like when they're a baby, like you're providing for them something, like a sibling, which is a really great experience.
Yeah, and I worked damn hard to provide that sibling.
Exactly.
I was also, my pregnancies are terrible, and I am sick from the day I find out I'm pregnant until the moment I'm delivering. Literally in the hospital, I am throwing up.
Yeah.
And so same with you. I didn't really know that, and this isn't supposed to be like a whole depression episode, but I didn't know that prenatal depression, I had never heard the term prenatal depression until I had it.
Yeah.
And I did go on medication with my first, because I was on Prozac, and then went off when I got pregnant because I was just like, oh, I'm pregnant. I can't take medication. And that I got really bad prenatal depression with my first because I went off my Prozac for the first time in like 8 years.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I talked to my doctor, got back on it, was totally safe. But I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, prenatal depression. I just didn't realize it was a thing. So if you're
Does
feeling...
that mean when you're pregnant?
Yes, when you're pregnant. And for me, I got it actually all 3 times I was pregnant. And so it kind of mitigated the postpartum a little bit because, like you said, you feel so much better not being pregnant that it kind of, in contrast, feels better postpartum, even though you're not sleeping and you have the hormone dip and you have all that stuff. It's like at least you're not throwing up.
Exactly. It's so true. Okay, so diving in, we both have 3 now, so we can even talk to this one. Look at how many kids we have. We are
building a small army.
Park moms.
We had them all together last weekend, and we were all like in the hot tub, and I was just looking at all of them, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have a lot of kids.
3 feels full.
3 feels full. Feels full.
But obviously there's families like my mom grew up in a family of like 9 kids, so like 9 kids.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. I just feel like there are still big families, and I totally get why. But I will say I'm like shocked how full 3 feels. Okay, so tell me about 2 to 3 for you.
2 to 3 was honestly the easiest for me. It was the easiest because I feel like because my girls were so close together, I feel like they kind of had each other, and then I could help the baby. So it was like if I was feeding him, if I was playing with him, I was changing him, the girls had each other, which was kind of nice. And obviously my husband was around, but he didn't have really much paternity leave with the third. So I was expecting it to be a lot harder because he didn't have as much paternity leave. But again, when I had the 2, he was working at an office. He was gone all the time. He was working in sales, constantly gone, constantly stressed. When I had 3, he was working at home in marketing, which sales and marketing are just very different paces. Anyways, not to get too much into that, but I felt like it was the easiest because the girls had each other, and so they could kind of pair off. And then also, I don't know if I even really want to get into this, but I'm pretty sure I'm done at 3. And so I feel like with him, I really tried to soak up as much as I could. So even when it was hard, I really just like soaked it up and enjoyed it as much as I could.
Yeah.
And with the newborn phase. And so I feel like I enjoyed it the most with my third because I was like, well, this could be the last time.
Yeah.
So I'm like 92% sure that I'm done.
Let's see what happens with our 8% girls.
We'll see. Honestly, it changes every day. So.
It does. And like I think you just have to like be at the right time to know if you're ready or if you're done. Like, and I think you just figure that out with time. But I think you have a good like call out there. Like your life circumstances do like make it harder or easier. Like your husband having different jobs, you moving into a new house, like postpartum depression, like all of those things can affect your transition. So if one feels harder to you or than someone else, like it really can just be like what your life circumstances.
Yeah, like don't be scared if you're listening to this and you have one and you're like, I'm so scared to have a second because Haley said that hers was really scary. Guys, I literally had so much going on. It was the perfect storm. Yeah. And year 1 to 2 could be the best experience ever. Everyone's different. This is really just like a way to commiserate over just our own experiences, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen for you or it's not going to be better for you.
I completely agree. Or it may be harder. Who knows?
Hopefully not. Yeah. Manifesting that it's not.
And I feel like every phase in the transition does have like its easier things and its harder things. Just how life is. So for us, I feel like 2 to 3 kind of just felt like, well, I have 3 boys actually, and like having 2 boys was so busy and so crazy that adding a third has honestly kind of just been like, well, welcome to the chaos. Like it's not even like that shocking because like it was already so crazy.
Your third also too, he's such a good baby, and there's not any bad babies. I hate when people say like, is she a good baby? Is he a good baby? Like babies aren't born bad. Like they're not evil.
Every baby's a good baby.
Yeah, no babies have like bad intentions. And they're like, well, I'm gonna wake my mom up, or I'm gonna, like there are babies that I would say can be easier.
Have like third child energy though, and the fact that he's like relaxed, he's easygoing, and like again, like you loosen up a lot as a parent. So they feel a lot of that from you. Your older kids can help. They also play together. Like my 2 oldest, like your same as yours, they play together, so it makes it a lot easier. As far as advice for this one, I think like anything you can do to make your life easier and like more efficient is how having 3 is easier. Like an example of this is like we talked about this at one of our first podcasts, but having like all of your supplies in the car ready to go. Like have your snacks, have your diapers, have your wipes. Then you're not packing it every single time. I think like anything like that you can like solve for efficiency's sake, that's going to make your life easier because it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be busy. And so anything like you can do to make it easier on you, that's what you should be doing.
We love our systems here at the Park Moms podcast.
A system.
We are all about systems.
Yes.
My husband's going out of town, as your husband was just out of town. And he was like, I'm going to go on a tangent. He's like, what are you, like, most nervous about? I'm like, honestly, we have a good, like, our systems. Like, our system is going to fall apart. Like, I'm talking like.
Gonna miss our systems.
Yeah, I'm talking like I'm the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I'm like, well, the system's in the morning. And then our systems, like, we have it down right now. Like, we have a schedule. Right. And I honestly thrive in a schedule, as I know you do.
Yeah.
But also, like you said, with 3, you have to have those systems and schedules. But you also have to be flexible with things. You kind of have to pick and choose what you're going to care about. Like this morning when I let my daughter go to the gym daycare in pajamas without her hair brushed. I said, do you know what? That's okay. And if she was my first child, you could never catch me doing that.
Right. And I think that's the difference is like you do relax a lot. I think you can be more flexible. Like with my first child, it was like nap time at this exact time. Yeah. And we are getting home for nap time and I'm keeping you up in the car and I'm literally yelling so that way you don't fall asleep and miss your nap time because we will stay on the strict schedule.
Well, I think when you have more kids, you realize those things aren't the end of the world. Whereas when you only have one, it feels like the end of the world.
It feels like the end of the world. And you know, with your third, like the baby naps on the go half the time, is even on time for their naps, and like they fall asleep in the car, well, whatever, we'll deal with it. Because your other schedules get so busy, they kind of just have to go with the flow. And I don't know anyone who's a third child, but I bet they have the best energy.
I'm trying to think in my family.
Who are the third child, do you know?
Like in my family, shout out Jake, you're a great third child. My brother, it was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday.
Yeah, I feel like my brother was like a calm person too. So
pretty calming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, so 3+. What do you think?
No one said 3+. Yeah. So our listeners did write in some tips though. Should I read them?
Yes, I want to hear these.
Okay. This is one we mentioned. Include the older sibling. Don't push them away. They want to be involved.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay. Nursing baskets of activities for older siblings. Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, so when you're nursing, they have baskets that they can use?
Yes.
That is genius. Oh my gosh, wow, that is such a good idea.
Such a good idea.
Oh, love that.
And I actually think we did something similar. And like I remember the philosophy around it is keep the toys only for when you're nursing so they get like really excited about them versus like all the toys they always can play. They get it just when you're nursing.
I will say there is nothing that like caused me more anxiety than when I had my third and I'd be nursing him and then my other 2 would just be coloring on the walls or fighting or something. And your hands are tied. You can't really do anything. But it's hard to just like sit there and be like, well, I'm going to have to deal with that later. So having that activity, that's honestly genius.
So genius.
Okay. I just like want to have another kid just to try that out.
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay. Give yourself grace and don't try to get your old self back. You've grown and you will never be the same. Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
okay.
I like that.
And there's more to this one. Get advice, reach out to sisters, friends, and neighbors. Be open and connect with other moms no matter what number of baby is coming. You need their love and support. Don't think you know it all because we're all just trying to figure it out.
Oh, love that.
That's
cute.
Cool. No, that is. It's Carly.
I was going to ask if it was Carly. Shout out Carly. I was at the gym with her this morning and she's close to having her fifth
kid. And she's like, just a shout out to her. She genuinely is the most easygoing, non-judgmental, loving mom. Like
Carly, I want to be you when I grow up, even though you're not much older than me.
Yeah, she's a park mom for sure. Like I feel like she's just like goes with the flow and she makes other moms feel so validated in what they're doing.
Yes, love her.
And she's non-judgmental.
And the fact that she's about to have 5 kids, she's literally my hero.
Spending one-on-one time with the older kid helps a ton. I notice whenever they start acting out. Good point.
Yeah, it's true. And I think I hate this because it's not always true, but when your kids are acting out, they usually just need some attention. Mm-hmm. My 3-year-old today, my goodness, there was a point where I was like, I'm going to leave you at Target right now. Like, she was just acting terrible. And I got home and realized, like, she just needed some one-on-one attention. She's the middle child. So I'm not saying the middle child always gets forgotten, but I do feel like they
have to be louder and, like, more obnoxious.
But she's not. She's kind of just, like, more, like, does her own thing. Mm-hmm. And so, that's really good advice.
It is. And I think one easy way to implement that, I know you do this and we do this too, is like one-on-one activities. So like even just like going to Costco or like taking them on like a little date to get ice cream and just having that one-on-one
Make everything a date. Literally everything a date. Like be like, we're going to go on a Target date. We're going to go on a...
Today we went and picked up our dog for a date. Like, he was running around the neighborhood, and we picked him up. I'm like, come on, Colson, you're my partner. Let's go.
What, did he get out
Yes.
of the yard?
Yes. Ugh.
I can't talk about that because
Dogs and children.
I have trauma from our neighbors from our dog getting out.
We'll one day I'll share that story.
One day I'll tell that story, but I'm still recovering from the trauma of the Karen that is my neighbor.
Okay.
If you're listening to this, which I hope you aren't.
Oh my gosh.
You stressed me out for months. Okay.
She really did. Okay. Okay, that actually is, I'm just thinking back to that story. That actually is something I can just speak to just for one moment. When other moms are in the thick of it, like whether they're bringing a newborn or they're pregnant, like just give them grace. Like if their dog gets out, don't be upset. Like they have 3 other kids they're trying to take care of.
Yeah, don't scream at them.
Don't scream at them. But it's just like...
Don't post about them on the Facebook neighborhood page.
Oh my gosh. You guys are basically in the full story. But my point is like, let's just give each other grace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Last advice. Take a nap when you can. Rest at the beginning. Go to the outpatient lactation.
The outpatient lactation, what's that?
Okay, I think what that is, actually, this is my sister-in-law. Shout out to her, actually. I'm going to talk about that in 1 second. She is a lactation consultant, and I think
so
what
is my mom.
Saying is, like, if you're having a hard time with nursing, go get help. Like,
don't
feel like it's all on your own.
Yes.
Actually,
and if nursing isn't working for you, that's okay, too.
So true. Like, you have to do what's best for you and put your mental health first.
Yes. Okay.
And don't judge other parents if they're doing things differently than you are. And that goes for anything, not just nursing. Okay. Valentine's is coming up. I wanted to ask you, what are you doing for Valentine's?
My husband will be out of town. So do you know what I'm doing for Valentine's? Maybe. Getting a big tub of, not a big tub, regular size of Ben & Jerry's.
What flavor?
Oh, my favorite flavor is the s'mores.
Ooh.
It goes s'mores, fish food, strawberry cheesecake, half-baked, in that order.
Oh, okay.
What about you? What's your favorite Ben & Jerry's?
Cherry Garcia or the Tonight
You're a classic.
Dough. The Tonight Dough, the Tonight Dough. I actually have a song about it. Like, if any of my friends are listening that know that song,
I was wondering
give me a shout.
That's the song you made?
The Tonight Dough, the Tonight Dough.
What is... Yeah, date night with Ben & Jerry. That's what I'm doing because my husband's going to be out of town. But our anniversary is the week before, and he will be there. Our anniversary is on the 9th. Then Valentine's Day is the 14th.
Yeah.
Then our daughter's birthday is the 16th. And so
we have all the holidays.
We've got a lot going on. So I'm not super sentimental when it comes to holidays, anniversaries, all those things.
Yeah.
Actually, on our first anniversary, I planned a work trip. And it was like kind of a work trip, kind of a fun trip, kind of a mix. And I told my husband, like, I'm going to be gone on these days. And he didn't say anything. And then an hour later, he comes and he's like, that's our first anniversary. I'm not sentimental. More so than I am. I have gotten more sentimental now. I think I've talked about this on the podcast. Now that I'm a mom, I feel like you just become more sentimental. Anyways, that was a really long answer to what I'm doing. But what are you doing?
I don't have any plans yet. I do like try to do a date every Valentine's Day though. And like I'm not really like you take it this year, I'll take this year. Like in fact, I actually prefer to plan the date.
Love that.
Like,
we love a type A girl.
What we usually like to do is like a concert and dinner or like a massage and dinner. I'm like, to me, it's a good excuse to like go and do a really fun date. Yeah. And I think Galentine's is always a good idea.
Yes.
I know I was saying about my sister-in-law in their local neighborhood, they're doing like a holiday girls market.
Love it.
Not girls market, Valentine's market.
Yeah. No, it's big though. It's a big market.
It's big.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's selling her, like she has like all these cute Valentine stuff. We'll tag her, but she made these like cute sweatshirts for us and she does a lot of embroidery. And so yeah, I'm gonna go to like a little cute homemade
Can I come with you?
Yes, come with me.
I'm inviting myself.
Yes, get a babysitter because Kevin will be gone.
Oh yeah, and I'll come.
And we'll do a little girls Valentine's Day shopping spree.
I will also tag my friend who is the queen of crafting. She is a content creator and she just has the cutest Valentine. She has the cutest crafts of all time. So I'm going to tag her. Rebecca, please don't be mad. Marsden.
Oh, Marsden. I think
Marsden, yes. She's amazing. I don't know. I think I've just never said her like handle out loud, so it's sounding weird to me, but she is the craft queen.
Okay, we'll tag these girls.
One day let's do a Park Moms craft night.
Yes, that'd be so fun. Okay, next year, guys, if we have enough listeners, we'll do a Galentine.
I really want to do a Galentine's full event.
Yes, full event.
Get all the Park Moms together.
Chit chat.
We could have your sister-in-law come and embroider things like on the spot for people.
That would be so cute.
That would be cute.
Okay,
Okay, we're thinking about it.
We actually had a lot of write-ins for our park talk advice, so we'll do a couple tonight, and then we'll do the next ones on our next episode.
Please keep writing in. I'm gonna figure out a way, because we use that app called like Not Gonna Lie or something, and it's a little weird. So I'm gonna try to figure out a way that people can write in anonymous submissions, like through an email or something.
But just so you know, if you wrote in, we would never judge you.
Oh, never.
Or share.
No.
Disclose.
Yeah. We can't. Oh, if someone who we know wrote in without it being anonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. We will never share. Okay. Anyway, so let's go through. Should we do 3 of them?
Not
2 or 3?
Sharing Carly though, just barely.
Oh yeah.
If it's something positive, we'll definitely share.
We will
up to our discretion.
That's true.
No,
it's true.
We wouldn't.
No. This is a safe place.
Yeah.
I love this because I love giving advice, even though I probably shouldn't be, but I just think it's so fun.
Okay. I'm so bad at like reading out loud. I don't know.
Do you want me to read it?
It gives me anxiety. No, it's okay. Having a hard time figuring out how to escape being a mom for a bit. Feeling jealous of all my husband's hobbies, guys trip at
etc.
Did you say I think I
not you just saying you were nervous to read and then saying etk.
Okay.
Is that the end of it?
No.
Oh.
Currently breastfeeding, so I feel like I can only be gone for a few hours at a time. Oh, this one is so real.
This one is so real, and the resentment is so real. I want to validate the shit out of this because it's so real to feel that way when you feel like you can't leave. Also, why do men have so many hobbies? I had to tell my husband after we had a kid,
and
like
expensive ones too.
My husband,
skiing, mountain biking.
Both our husbands kind of have the same hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my husband, like, you need to chill out on the hobbies because I'm sorry, but like
read a book.
Read a book, and also none of these hobbies are paying you. You're actually paying for all these hobbies. So like you need to slow down.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this one is really, really hard. I would say my advice for this is advocate for yourself. And I think it's almost easier sometimes to be like, oh, no, I can't go. Like I have to breastfeed or I have to do this. The best thing that you can do for your mental health, if you can, is try to teach your baby to take a bottle. Mm-hmm. Literally, that's the actual advice I have for this entire episode. My first 2 didn't take a bottle to the point where my second one time I had something for work and my second had to be fed from my mom, bless her, from a syringe because she would not take a bottle. Anyways, teaching your baby to take a bottle, and I don't know if this is a controversial take or a hot take or if people aren't going to be upset about this, but I don't think there's anything wrong with a baby taking a bottle, and it really does free up so much of just like your time to be able to go somewhere. And there was one time that I was with our friend Lindsay, shout out Lindsay, and I was nursing my second, and we were in a snowstorm to the point where I couldn't get up our hill. The snowstorm was so bad, and I was like, I have to get up to feed my baby. Like, I have to. And it was in that moment that I realized, like, I need to teach my kids how to take a bottle. So I know that's kind of, like, maybe not the easiest tip, but teach your baby to take a bottle because it really will help you get out. As far as, like, what was the question? Not being resentful or not being jealous?
Yeah, and then I think they were saying that they have a hard time, like, actually, like, taking time for themselves as a mom.
The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
And you'll always have a little bit, I don't know why dads don't have as much guilt. Like, why isn't dad guilt more of a thing? You're always going to have a little mom guilt, but the more you leave them and realize that it's okay to leave them. My mom always says it's actually really good for you to miss your kids and for your kids to miss you. Because think about the moment when, after you haven't been with your kids, when you get to come home. Like, you go on a girls' night, or say you go do something, like we went skiing on Friday. Then I got home and my kids were so excited to see me. And I was like, this is so fun. And that's such a good, healthy thing for you to miss your kids and for your kids to miss you.
And to just reset and have some alone time, adult time.
So my advice would be just do it. The more you do it, the easier it will get. And try to not have any mom guilt because you deserve to have time alone. And then another logistical thing is try to find hobbies that you can do at home. Having hobbies with my third is something that really helped me get through like postpartum. And so if you can come up with hobbies that you can do from home, then do those. Yeah.
And I think just like, even if you can't get a break, like making motherhood a break for you, like integrating your kids in your life, like
romanticizing motherhood. Listen to our last episode.
Motherhood, like taking them to go do something that you really enjoy, or like wait till they go down to bed if like you're breastfeeding, like, and maybe my suggestion there is like help them go to sleep where they're not needing to breastfeed every so often.
Yeah.
Once they're getting older, of course. And then go do something. Like I know you're tired at the end of the night, but like it is really rejuvenating to get out and have like adult conversations.
Also, I think it's totally fine to sit down with your husband and be like, hey, I'm feeling a little resentful that you have all these hobbies and guys trips and nights, and not that things have to be even. That would be like my biggest marriage advice is things don't always have to be even, and don't keep score, because it's never going to be equal. It's never going to be even. Yeah. But I think it's okay to sit down and not in a moment of contention, just sit down and be like, hey, I feel like you get a lot of time to yourself. You get a lot to do this stuff, and I just am having a hard time because I feel like I'm not able to break away the same way you are.
Yeah.
What can you do to help me achieve that?
Yeah, and they should want to support you, and they will. And like a lot of times it's just like them feeling comfortable and not texting you and being like, hey, the baby's crying, it's just like they can figure it out.
Let them. My daughter fell out of the grocery cart onto the asphalt while I was loading the groceries into the car. She was so sad, and I cried for 20 minutes straight. I felt like the worst mom. Good news is I will never forget to buckle her in ever again.
Oh,
it's really sad. But also not just sad that she fell, but sad that like you feel so bad, because that feeling is so real and you just like feel so terrible, but she's okay. It happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us.
That's the biggest thing I would say is like your experiences, all of us have an experience like that. I had a really bad experience with my toddler. He got my razor and he basically shaved a big chunk of skin off his leg, and like totally my bad. Like I should have not had my razor in place that he could get it, but like that happens kind of to all of us. It happens to all of us, and you're a good mom that you care so much.
I have a quick little story, and I hope that my mom doesn't mind me sharing this, but when I was, I don't even know, maybe 3 or 4. I could totally be butchering the ages. But my brother actually got out into the garage when my grandma was watching us and my mom was leaving, and ran him over. Have I told you this story?
No. Oh my gosh.
Just like not ran him over entirely, but he was stuck under the wheel. Could have been really bad. He was fine. Everything was fine. She was so shaken up about it. And to add a little light to this story. So my point in telling the story is everything, like, you can be the best mom, and my mom is the best mom in the entire world, and these things happen. Mm-hmm. Accidents happen. Things just happen. Luckily, she's okay. Luckily, my brother was totally fine. But the funny part of the story is my mom had a really hard time leaving the house because he was kind of like bruised up, and that is real trauma and so traumatic and so scary. And to this day, she has trauma. Like, she'll be like, whenever a car is leaving with my kids, she's like, where is everyone, which I'm so grateful for, obviously, and also grateful for backup cameras. Mm-hmm. But she finally, my grandpa, her dad was like, you need to get out of the house, like, let's go to the mall. So they're walking around in Nordstrom, and someone sees my brother, who's like kind of still like casts and stuff and bandaged up, and they're like, oh, what happened to him? And I just look at the person, I think I'm 2, and I'm like, my mommy drived on him.
Oh my gosh.
My mom says the look on this lady's face was just like disgusting. My mom's like, well, I'm never leaving the house again. So
I'll never live this down.
Yeah, it happens. That stuff happens to all of us.
It's so true.
If you listen to my episode, what episode was it where I talked about how we thought my daughter drowned in the ocean a few months ago? Like, it just, kids get lost, kids get hurt, and we can all just need to like watch out for each other and also give yourself grace. And like you said, now you're going to buckle her in. Yeah. And I can't even tell you how many times my son has fallen out of his high chair. Yeah. At our house. So it happens to the best of us.
And you're the best mom for your kids, and like I think just even feeling concerned and sad is just like validating how good of a parent you are.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Last one.
How do I talk to my husband about being ambitious about his career? I know he wants it, but he keeps pushing things off.
This one is so, when I read this one, my like heart almost sank, because this is a hard one. This is hard. Do you want to take this one on?
I feel like my advice is like, I don't think you can push people to do anything they don't want to do.
I know.
I think at the end of the day, people have to be motivated by their own intrinsic motivation. That goes for parenthood. That goes for your spouse. Like, you can't force someone to do something they don't want to do.
For sure. And I think it's hard specifically when it comes to money in a relationship and just, careers and all that stuff. And I think I don't want to like turn it on you, because this is such a hard thing. You obviously want what you want, but I would ask yourself, why do you want that? Like, why do you want your husband to have? Is it money? Is it pressure? Is it like, why? Mm-hmm. Why? And then ask him why he doesn't want it. And then maybe you guys can figure out, meeting in the middle or how to get there together. Or maybe he does want that, but he's feeling the pressure from you. And so that pressure can be like a little intimidating.
Or not feeling confident.
Yeah.
Actually, one example of a story is when my husband lost his job after COVID. His whole group was laid off. It was really hard on his confidence, and so, but it was still frustrating for me because I was like, okay, I was still working, so I was working and he wasn't. I was like, he got to spend time with our son. I was like, okay, you need to get a job, and this is something so random, but we kind of started looking at a house and it really motivated him. He was like, okay, I really want this house, which we didn't even end up getting, but it kind of was driving him towards that next thing. And so sometimes I'm like, I feel like you may need a goal to work towards.
Yeah.
Or he might.
And make it fun. Don't put so much pressure. I think there's a way that you can motivate each other to be successful if that's what you want without making it feel so intimidating.
Yeah. And the truth is we all get imposter syndrome. We all have a little bit of lack of confidence at times. And just think of if you were in those shoes, how would you want someone to respond to you? And then try to be that person. And
if you want him to further his career because you want to make more money, girl, you go do it. Go get that bag.
Yeah.
If that's something that you want, if you want to work and you want to be successful, I think traditionally it's been put on the man or the husband to, provide that lifestyle. But if he doesn't want that, or if he doesn't want to work in that way, but you want it, go do it yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best advice, but that's kind of the way I look at it. But also trust that he's going to figure out. Remember when we were first married, because I've always had a little bit of anxiousness around hey, I want to be able to pay our bills, do this, be successful. And when we were first married, I told my husband and he didn't give me a reason to say this, but I said, I'm just nervous that you're not going to be able to provide for us. And that killed him. He was so upset. I hope he's okay with me sharing this story. But he was that really messed with his confidence.
Exactly.
And I wish I could have gone back and told myself, don't say that. That's not a good thing to say. Instead, I should have been building him up and been I'm so excited to see where your career takes you, and I'm so excited to see you put your talents, build them up.
Yeah.
And don't put so much pressure on them. Again, try to make it more of a fun game. And if he still doesn't want to do it, then get that bag, girl. My husband also at one point lost his job, and my dad called me right after privately and gave me really good advice. He said, I know you're frustrated, because I was also working. He said, I know you're frustrated. I know you're going to want him to get a job as soon as possible. I know you're probably a little bit mad that he lost his job, which sometimes it's completely out of their control, but I think still it does hurt a little bit, and you almost are a little disappointed. My dad's but what you need to do, so the best advice, he's just build him up. His confidence right now is so down in the dumps. He feels so terrible, and as his wife, you just need to build him up. My dad was there's going to be times where you want to get so mad at him and you want to yell at him. Just try to hold back and not do that.
Yeah.
And it was really good advice, and I would give that advice to anyone whose husband has lost a job or is going through just a career shift.
I feel since COVID, it has been a shaky job market. And
for sure.
There's been so many situations that are truly inevitable. I actually work in recruiting, and I'm always talking to people where I'm wow, they could have no control over this. And and most people don't. And so I think just giving people the benefit out. Now we're going really far on this tangent. But my point is just be honest, be real with them, but also build them up at the end of the day.
And ask yourself again, I know I said this at the beginning, but why? Why do you want this? Is it societal pressure? Is it that you're not able to pay your bills? Is it that other people are asking you? And I think too, try not to talk about it with other people too much. I think when you're having maybe this struggle, when you're talking about him to other people, and sometimes you need to vent, but try to just talk positively about him, because they do feel that at the end of the day. Hopefully some of that advice helped.
Yeah.
But
these are good questions. You guys are really getting us thinking. And
I love
you guys
it.
know you can always write in and give advice to other people too, and we'll put on the podcast.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to figure out, how to post a question and have multiple people answer it.
Ooh, I love that.
So that we can have more of a community feel. But that was our episode.
I love it. Okay, well, have a great rest of your guys' day, and hopefully you're able to listen in, do a hot mom walk, and hear the park moms. Bye,
Love you guys. Bye.